as you get better at tennis, you will inevitably start hitting balls faster and you'll inevitably start being more aggressive and confident. The problem with that is that as you hit better shots, your opponent is going to hit worse shots. And the shot that usually gets people in trouble is what they have to do once they find themselves in this area here. So today we're going to be talking specifically about how to deal with half volleys and short balls that we don't quite have plans for, and then being able to maintain an aggressive position once we've handled that shot. So let's get into today's video where we help you guys handle this little troublesome area right here. Okay, so before I get into the other stuff, this lovely line here, I'm not talking about anything inside of here. Once you cross this line, your job is to not let that ball hit the floor. Obviously, there are going to be some times when it's completely unavoidable, but way too often people get themselves in trouble with indecision. Once you cross inside that line, your job is to shoot forward, not let your opponent get the time they need to reset and get into aggressive positions. Most people get themselves in trouble because what they'll do is they'll be indecisive on whether to let the ball bounce or not. Then they'll end up shifting their weight back and taking bigger swings, potentially jamming themselves, and again, giving your opponent their time back. So make sure once you cross that service line, anything and everything, unless absolutely necessary, is taken out of the air so that you take time away from your opponent. Again, there are going to be some scenarios where your opponent hits like a heavy ball that dips down at your feet, or you have a ball that could be an overhead and it bounces and it sits up nice and easy. I'm not talking about those. Those are the outliers. In most cases, balls are going to be coming straight through. Don't let those balls touch the floor. Now let's move on to the area where we actually usually make the mistakes, which is behind the service line. So getting to the area that's actually in question, the first thing you're going to have to do is figure out whether you should let the ball bounce and wait or let the ball bounce and not wait. What I mean is, let's say the ball is going to land in front of me. Do I want to sit back here in full forehand position and then go after it and keep my body weight forward? Or do I want to keep my body weight forward as the ball's meeting me? Meaning like running this way, taking it off the ground and continuing forward. That's going to be completely subjective based on where you've put your opponent on the previous shot. So for example, if I hit a good approach shot from this area back here, I'm probably going to be looking to continue my momentum and not let them have their time back. Whereas if I hit an aggressive shot from behind the baseline and I get a ball that kind of sits up, I'll probably move in, get nice and planted, and then attack the ball, then look to continue to move forward. So here's what those two shots look like in general. I'm going to start with the one where you just continue your momentum. So I'm just be moving, pushing my body weight forward. And let's say I was at the back of the court, it would be like rip here, ball's coming in, and I'd split, keep my body weight in, and move through. One more time. Now the technical piece here is going to be not taking big swings. You're going to treat it more like a volley. Continental grip or forehand grip is both acceptable here just because we're trying to continue momentum forward. The one thing you're probably going to not want to do is take the racket all the way back. Let me have that again. So keeping the racket in front, through, and then being done with it, versus trying to do this where the ball comes in, big swing, and then potentially jamming yourself up. So the key here is going to be racket doesn't go much further back than next to the body, depending on what grip you're using. And then from there, momentum carries forward. So putting this into a Fed scenario, if I was to be pushed to the back, as I said, and I take my forehand from here and hit moderately aggressive, I may be generating a short ball from my opponent. But I'm probably not going to run through in most cases. I'm probably going to look for the ball that sits here, wait for it, and then attack my second shot. Whereas if I was to hit a more aggressive shot from closer to the baseline, my goal would be to take time away from them, and I'd probably go from here, take the next ball right off the ground to the open court, or even potentially end up with a ball that I take out of the air. So as I said, the main thing that kind of gets people in trouble is being a little gray area mentally on what to do. So the trick is, if we know what shot we hit before, then it should be easier to decide what the shot should come that is after. Here's a couple of examples of that, just going into the live scenario of it. So first I'd get a ball that sits back here, aggressive shot there, and I'd look for the sitter to then go to that side of the court because I would have time based off of those two shots. Emily would usually be in the back, barely getting the first ball or trying to throw up a lob to give herself time, in which case then I'd sit and do that on the next shot. Whereas if I take a ball a little closer to the baseline and I just kind of step here, next ball would be close, half volley to the open court, that's what's going to happen when you're already on your way in. You want to take time away and not give the time back. My goal back here is to just hit a good shot. Time is not really the thing that's important. But when I'm taking it from here and already moving in, I can't let them have that time back. And now switching to the live setup, if I was to hit a good shot where I put Emily in a bad position, then I just need to recognize where my good shot came from. Did it come from the back of the court, or did it come from a spot where I want to continue to take that time away? So let's get into a live one. So that one pushes her back. I look for the sitter, and then I've got the ball right there. So that one pushes her back a little bit, got the sitter, and then there's my ball. But I didn't wait to see. I kind of expected the sitter, looked up, waited for a second, and then went through. I didn't take it as the half volley. I just knew from pushing her back what to expect, and I would have a little bit more time to get ready. Again, I don't have me sitting in the middle, camped and waiting for it. It's just knowing that the person's trying to get their time back, and then you're not letting them get their time back after a good shot, but you don't need to take away as much time as the sprinting half volley. So like you saw with that point, it was just, I hit a good shot, recognized that she was going to need to save that time, and then I moved in behind it rather than waiting to see what happened. But that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. I told you I wanted to keep it really simple. Half volleys are going to be when you're trying to take that time away because you hit a shot where time is the thing that you didn't want them to have. And then the ones where you're going to go for the bigger swings are going to be the ones where you already kind of went for the bigger swing. If you're hitting from behind the baseline and then you're trying to move in and you've created that high floating shot, you have the ability to take time away by taking the ball out of the air, but it's not a necessity because you've been given time to get really set up and go for it. If you know anybody that would benefit from this stuff, please send it off to them. As I said, we are trying to get to 15K to work on our next project. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.